Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church, all you seekers, wanderers, healers, and doubters alike. I'm Wanda, your service leader for this morning. If you're with us on the internet or if you have been sitting among us here today, I remind you that we are one community, united in our commitment to each other and our commitment to live out our principles throughout the world. If you're visiting for the first time today, you are especially welcome. We have someone at the visitors table back there. Ellen, will you wave? If you want to know anything, Ellen is the go-to person. Ask her anything, I promise. She can answer all your questions. She can help you get oriented as you go through this service. Also, if you have little ones and you need to find your way to the nursery, we have one available for ages birth to 6. And the greeters, back when you first came in the door, Starla or Terry can help make your way down to our nursery. So please avail on those services as you wish. I'll remind you that our services are filmed and they're posted on YouTube probably about tomorrow. And you want to make sure that your picture is not on our YouTube. You can sit in the perfume area, free area there near the exit door, or over there near the library, so we won't capture your face for our YouTube presentation. One really important thing, to be kind to your neighbors and your speakers, to please silence your cell phones. And that includes vibrating and buzzing and whatever sound that you might have coming from those cell phones. Today we are singing hymn number 188, and it's in your gray hymnal. Please rise as you're able, and when you are doing so, children can bring their backpacks and put them on this table, and children and adults who want to have any kind of blessing for their pencils and notebooks and pens and pencils or anything that they might need for reinforcement in their school year. So put it on this table as we sing hymn number 188. Rosemary promised me that my mic would not be on during any singing, so I can hope that was true for this. We come to this religious community from many paths with diverse needs. If you have come here seeking comfort, may your pain be smooth. If you come here looking for answers, may you find questions. If you've come here seeking purpose, may your call be awakened. If you have come here hoping to find a new way, may that path be open to you. This morning we are especially pleased to have our guest speaker is Dr. Jennifer Axsom Adler. She is the Assistant Professor of History at East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, where she teaches a full range of classes, including world religions, American religious history, and religion in Appalachia, which we'll be honored to hear today. Her research focused on sacred space, material culture, ritual practice, and lived religion in American life. Dr. Adler leads us through many paths of religion. Let us listen, let us learn, and let us be transformed. This morning, will help us light our chalice. If you'll come up and do that. Okay, here you go. You know what to do. There you go. That's all you need to do. Thank you. You want to blow it out? Thank you for your presence today, your voices and your light. Fire is a symbol of transformation, and it turns wood into ash, cold buildings into warm ones. It turns raw food into dinner, and today it turns pizza into lunch. And it creates ritual opportunities for letting go that we are doing here today. Our vision for community here is also one of transformation. We come here every week for that. That we will always be changing both individually and collectively. We remind ourselves of those precious words every week as we repeat the words as our vision statement that you will find printed in your order of service. Please join me. We work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder. Today is even more special because today is our annual Book Pack Blessing Day. If you were here last year, you saw Reverend Tiffany do that. And James and I had to cook up a little scheme as to how we might want to accomplish that in her absence. So here's what we're going to do. If you have not already brought your backpack up, you may do that now. You can sneak up here as I'm talking and lay it on the table so we can have a blessing for your backpack, or your tote bag, or your pen, or your pencil. I have this very special pen I'll tell you about here in a minute. Notebooks and anything that you have in your paraphernalia that helps you get through your school year. I think I needed a huge backpack when I was a teacher because half my students would not only forget their pencils, they'd forget their books and their notebooks and anything else that they needed to have. So as a former teacher, I do have this magic pen that I can write things with, and it takes names as well as other things. So I like to carry that one with me on occasion. So this morning, we are going to fill these backpacks with good thoughts and good intentions because we want kids and teachers and personnel to go off with the best skills that they can possibly have. So first of all, tell me, sing out to me what you think a blessing is. If we're going to bless our backpacks, what do you think that might be?
Good wishes.
Good wishes. Anything else?
Well intentioned.
Good intentions. Courage. Oh, lunch. All right. So,
When you need it.
yeah, when you need it. A reminder is a blessing. Oh, some people have a blessing for a new house or a new child that comes in or a new place that they have lived, a new home. So blessings can cover a lot of things, but today we want to make sure that our backpacks have secret weapons in them. You remember last Sunday, Beth talked about an umbrella that is used, an umbrella of protection. And that's what we want to focus on too with our backpacks, giving the backpacks and tote bags and paraphernalia that umbrella of protection. So when you go off to school, you're well equipped to handle anything that might happen. So right now then, I want you to tell me all the things that you think that you might need when you pick up your backpack and you go into school. What are some of the things that you would like? And the first one I want to capture from what Reverend Tiffany said last year. And she said, we don't want any backpacks that doesn't have what in it? Fun. Fun. So she reminded us that fun is really important to be able to put in our backpacks. So that's the first one that we want to have for your backpacks. But there's others. So tell me what else you think you might need.
Love.
Love. What else?
Confidence.
Say it again.
Confidence.
Confidence.
Truth.
Truth.
Comfort.
Comfort. Safety.
Tenacity.
Apathy. Did I hear that? No. Tenacity. Kindness. Friendship. Joy. Open-mindedness. I think that's pretty full right now. That backpack would be pretty bulging. And my magic pencil, I think I captured everything you said. Well, we've got all these words now: love and friendship and joy and fun and confidence and truth. And now, what are we going to do with all that? So we have all these words floating around, but they're not over here in our backpacks yet, are they? So this is where James is going to come help me. And you have to help me too, because what we're going to do is we're going to play silent pianos. So you have to get your fingers ready to play silent pianos. This is not like air guitar. This is called air piano. So here we are. So as I read out these words, James is going to piano these words over into all of these backpacks. And if you didn't put yours on the table, that's okay. He'll find you. Those words will find you, and those keys will just jump right into whatever backpack you happen to be carrying. All right, James, you ready? Oh, here we go. We've got love and friendship and confidence and joy and truth and open-mindedness and safety, kindness. And all of those words now are hovering with our piano keys. So now we're going to close them in as if we're closing the top of the piano, and we're going to drop them down in there all together. There we go. There we go. Safe and sound. Perfect. Now you have all these good intentions and umbrellas, and now you're set for the year. Because we know that whether you are going into kindergarten or whether you're going into the 12th grade, that sometimes it's not very much fun to be in school. You might encounter a bully for the first time. You might be walking into a new classroom. You might be walking into a new school. You might not have any friends where you're going. And you want to have all these things around you, these umbrellas, the kindness and the courage and all these that will make it easier for you to go through your day-to-day. So for this week and the weeks to come for school, may you remember that your church family here sends you all with all these good intentions and wishes to make your school year the best ever. May it be so. We're not only blessed with some music, we are blessed with all sorts of unique music. And today we are especially treated with an original melody that is being performed by our own Wendy Harrell. And she not only performs, she writes her own music, so we're doubly blessed here with this. So this morning in this sacred place, we hear an original melody, and she calls it "Your Doubt Can Set You Free."
And I actually wrote it for a church service at some point in the distant past. I don't even remember what the service was. My mama told me a story. She said it was true. I asked her how she knew, and she said, I just do. You were given rules you must obey to walk the narrow way. Your heart kept under lock and key. Now you're feeling like your life is a lie. You're not supposed to ask why, but your doubt can set you free. So you study all the holy writ, you find that things don't fit. towers fall, you're choking on debris. But when the dust begins to blow away, there will dawn a new day. Your doubt can set you free. All of your life you followed someone else's map, but it won't lead you out of this trap. Reigning over 10,000 years of chains and fears, the whims of the powers that be. They'll tell you that's the way it's always been, so just take it on the chin. But your doubt can set you free. Where will you go if you can't choose a destination? The journey may be your inspiration. When you let your conscience be your guide and keep your eyes open wide, your doubt can set you free. Your doubt can set you free. Your doubt can set you free. Thank you.
Sharing love is a key part of our vision of our community and what we're building here. And you can see it most clearly every Sunday when we light our candles of community. And we see the joys and the sorrows. Each week we invite each other to hold ourselves in love and trust as we recognize our joys and hold sorrows close to heart. If you want to shine a light on your journey, you may do so by completing one of the candles cards. There are these very pretty printed candle cards that you can see on the back table. And you can fill one out and drop it in the box that says candles card. Real easy to find. And on that card you can tell us your joy or sorrow, but it's very important that you tell us whether or not you'd like to have it read aloud, because we are filming, and if you would keep your card of concern silent, then there's a place to mark that, and our gracious caring team will contact you, but keep it within the confines of that team. You also can email your concern, your joy or your concern, but this month, for the month of August, we're changing that up a little. Instead of emailing minister@hvuu.c, which we ordinarily do, we're changing that in Reverend Tiffany's absence. We're sending that over to the caring team. Full caring team at hvууc.org, and they will be glad to take those and deal. Be sure and put in the subject line candles card so they'll know what to do with it, and then again make sure you indicate whether you want it read aloud or not. I have a couple, and they just happen to be nice candles of joy. The first one is from James. And he says he's really excited because this past week Liz proposed to him, and yes, absolutely. And would you like to know his answer? He's good. Answered yes. And then we have one from Liz, who sends a heartfelt thank you for her time being here and recognizes that she's going to miss us all, as we will miss her as she goes off on her new job. So thank you both, and congratulations to you. So. If you wish to light a candle for yourself, you can approach the table. Wait till I get finished. Just give me just a minute. You can approach the set candle table here, and Lori or Betty will do that for you. And if you'd like to remain in your seat and have a candle lit for you, if you raise your hand up really high so I can see you, and I'll make sure I acknowledge you, and we can light a candle for you while you are seated. And we'll start out with knowing that there are so many needs and wishes that we never get know of and never have spoken. So if you light one candle, both of you, be good, for all those wishes that we hold silent and are forever in our hearts. So if you'll come forward now, the left or the right side, and the candle keepers will help you with that. And if you want me to light a candle for you, if you'll raise your hand, Starla. Candle to represent all those unspoken wishes and thoughts for today. To be you is to drink deeply from many spiritual wells, knowing that truth is not owned but discovered in relationships. In this vibrant mosaic that we have in front of us, we find not confusion but coherence, an abiding respect for human quest. When we explore various faiths, not to take over, but for appreciation, we come closer to living the UU principles of a free and responsible search for truth and meaning and the interdependence of web of all of our existence. This morning, Dr. Adler tells us how she became the student and the students became her teacher. This experience taught her the power of religions to make homes, cross boundaries, intensify joy, and confront suffering. As we listen to these experiences, she invites us to think more deeply about the role of religion in our own lives and how it helps us navigate the human experience. Making homes and crossing boundaries, what teaching world religion has taught me, Dr. Adler.
Thank you, Wanda. So good morning. Good morning. It is a pleasure to be with you all. As I was sitting here, I was thinking about, I have probably driven past here, Pierce, what do we think, hundreds of times, thousands of times, on our way to school every morning. And so to be in this space with you is wonderful. You also all have me thinking about the beginning of school is on my mind. We go back in 2 weeks and welcoming a new group of students. And I'm thinking about what I could do better in my classroom. The first is I'm going to hire James to just stand behind me. So James, we'll talk about that. A table full of candles would also help, but I think that's unlikely to get approved by the university. So we'll have to keep thinking on that. So as Wanda shared, I've titled this reflection this morning, Making Homes and Crossing Boundaries, which borrows language from a definition of religion that, as I will share, has profoundly shaped my thinking about what religion is, what it looks like, what it feels like, and what it does. So this month, actually, this August, marks a poignant and personal milestone in my own life. It is the 10th anniversary of my teaching Introduction to the Study of World Religions to college students. Now, as I actually looked at your bookshelves in the back, as I was coming in this morning, I was thinking about the fact that probably like 80% of those books are also in my office. And I was like, I found my people. We're in good space here. So for 10 years now, I have walked with hundreds of students through a 15-week journey across the beautiful, complicated, and sometimes admittedly bewildering terrain of religious traditions around the globe. It's an experience that's transformed me, challenging me to rethink how I understand religion. What is the implicit definition that I walk around with every day? It's challenged me to think not just as a scholar, but as a human who, like you, is navigating the complexities of life. Now, I'm curious, who has taken world religions at some point in their life, college or some, yes, good, excellent. So some of you then probably have memories of walking into a world religions class. So each semester I think about the fact that my classroom becomes this microcosm of a much larger world. On the first day of class, I know I am going to welcome a new group of students that will contain seekers and skeptics. It will contain devout believers and spiritual explorers. It will contain those who have been saved by religion, who have been healed by it, who have been hurt by it, and who have been exiled by it. Some will come with a deep longing to understand others that they perceive as not like them, and some will come with a deep longing to understand themselves. And some will admittedly just need a general education credit, and this was the only class that fit in their schedule. I am aware. So that first day of class always reminds me, in fact, of the lines of your opening hymn. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of learning. And a few of my students, I suspect, might also identify with the next line of the hymn, wondering if they indeed have arrived at a caravan of despair, or what the semester will be like. They file in on the first day, eyes scanning their classmates and me, trying to get a read on what exactly it is that they've signed up for. So the question of where one begins, the departure point, is a critical question for any journey, and it's also a critical question for any class. Where we begin fundamentally shapes what we see along the way and where we end up. And so with my students, I begin here. I ask the question, what is religion? And that question matters because, as I explained to them, it establishes the boundaries of what we consider within or outside our field of study. Now, as you might imagine, the answer to an ostensibly simple question, like what is religion, is anything but simple. Now, for those of you that remember that world religions class maybe many years ago at this point in time, you might remember that there are some classic definitions of religion, each quite different. You might remember the name William James, the great psychologist and philosopher who gave us this quintessential individual-focused definition of religion. He said that religion is the feelings, acts, and experiences of individual men, did not say women, I will note, in their solitude, so far as they apprehend themselves to stand in relation to whatever they consider the divine. Now, there's a lot of room in this definition. It's all about the individual and what they perceive as the sacred, but I'll point out that there's no group or we in James. There's no collective community. It's all very personal. By contrast, Emil Durkheim, the sociologist, would emphasize that religion is a collective enterprise. He described it as a unified set of beliefs and practices relative to sacred things, which unite a moral community that he called a church and all those who adhere to those principles. And then later, I suspect he's back there on the shelf too, Paul Tillich would offer the very succinct definition that religion is ultimate concern. An incredibly succinct definition that many of my students find opaque and mystifying, that in some ways maybe opens more questions than it provides answers. So for some of my students, this may be the first time they've really stopped to think about how we even define this term that we use all of the time, or to consider how they might have an implicit definition of religion that departs from those around them, that we operate with this term, not often thinking about the fact that we see it quite differently. So I always ask my students to think about which definition best matches their own internal definition of religion, and every semester I'm surprised about the fact that the room sort of evenly divides between like the Durkheimian and the Jamesian, a few Tillichs out there, and then a few who reject all definitions or even the existence of a thing called religion. And this is very persistent semester after semester. So after we've got some initial definitions on the table, we begin to survey the incredible variety of religions that we encounter. Over the semester, we will encounter religions where we have a God and gods and no God at all. We find religions where gods and the divine are intimately connected with humans, where there is a line of communication, and religions where that's simply not the case, where there's been a severing between the divine and the human with very little contact between them. We will encounter religions where they speak through the word and they value the written text. We find religions, though, whose scriptures are not confined to the page, they're not confined to the book. They're written in places like the leaves of a tree, the pulsing of a star, or a piece of grain of sand. We'll find that some religions speak loudly to us, and others speak quietly, and perhaps are even silent. We find religions that claim their path is exclusive, and we find religions who do not make that claim. We find a lot of practitioners who are creatively blending and adapting religious and spiritual traditions, breaking down the idea that we are committed to a singular path. We find individuals who would tell us they are not religious, they are not spiritual, but whose practices and lives still seem to bear the fingerprints of what scholars would deem religious or spiritual. Now, I want you to imagine for a second that we took all of these case studies, all of these instances, and we put them side by side. Or maybe we invited them into this room and it would spill out beyond these walls, people who represent all of these different perspectives. The word wild rumpus comes to mind, right? Maurice Sendak, Where the Wild Things Are, a wild rumpus we would have. And then I want you to think about, in that wild rumpus, if you walked around with those simple definitions from Durkheim or James or Tillich, they would fit some cases, but not all. There would be a lot of things that might be deemed outside of religion when we hold on to these sort of strict definitions. What I don't tell my students at the start of the semester is that I'm not satisfied by any of these definitions of religion, and that there's actually a definition that I hold quite strongly to, that's become very compelling to me over time. It's one that I think helps us appreciate continuities across an incredibly diverse landscape. One might say it provides a universalizing approach to something that could be incredibly varied. So the definition I'm going to share with you and spend a few minutes talking about is a definition that comes from a contemporary scholar of religion whose name is Thomas Tweed. And this is the definition that Tweed gives as to what religion is. He says religions are confluences, and this is a complex definition, we'll talk about each part slowly, confluences of organic cultural flows that intensify joy and confront suffering by drawing on human and superhuman forces to make homes and cross boundaries. Now, this is not an easy or simple definition. It is not going to be on any bumper sticker ever. I mean, right? This doesn't reduce to 2 words like ultimate concern. But it's the one, for me, it's the definition that I think comes closest to capturing what is a nearly startling diversity of religious traditions that I encounter over the course of a semester with students. So let's spend a few minutes talking about each of these pieces of Tweed's definition. Tweed begins by saying that religions are confluences of organic cultural flows. Now, my ear always catches on that word confluence. It reminds me of our own mountain landscape. It makes me think of a river, a place where 2 rivers come together. And it's an apt metaphor. What Tweed is saying is he's calling attention to the fact that religions are compound structures. They contain people and memory and language and architecture and song and story and gesture and symbol. They are not simple. They're things brought together. Confluences like rivers have the power to reshape and to move things. And the metaphor invites us to pay attention to how the many facets of religious life can come together to move bodies through space and through time. So imagine with me being at a Buddhist temple at dawn. It's not simply the chanted prayer that moves us. It's the scent of incense. It's a feeling generated by the chant. It's the sound of shuffling feet on polished wood. Picture with me a holiness revival in Appalachia. Sacred words joined together with the rhythmic shake of tambourines, the stifling heat of summer, bodies trembling and swaying. These are not simply beliefs or practices. They are embodied moments. They are live currents, and they have power. So Tweed then tells us that religions intensify joy, and they confront suffering. So here we have an interesting example, right, of what religions do, not just what religions are. And I suspect if I ask you all, you'd have many ideas about ways that religions in your own life may have helped you intensify joy or confront suffering. I think about holidays like Christmas or Diwali with their bright lights, their songs, their stories that bring us joy. I think about how religious ritual intensifies joy, bringing meaning to the most important moments of life, the arrival of a baby, the marriage of a couple, for example. Religions intensify joy through material objects, through soaring cathedrals, through beautiful music that we hear, through visual depictions. These are all part of religion. So too, I suspect you could think of many ways in your own life in which religion and spirituality has helped you confront suffering. Religions confront suffering by facing, sometimes in incredibly graphic ways, the fragility and impermanence of life. Those of you that know about Buddhism, this is at the heart of Buddhism. Buddhism is arguably an entire religious system that's built on confronting suffering, offering guidance on how we alleviate our own suffering, but even more importantly, how we alleviate the suffering of all human beings, of all living beings. Jews confront suffering with the reciting every time they recite the mourner's Kaddish. Jesus confronted suffering in the Sermon on the Mount, painting an image of the day when those who suffered in this life would find freedom in the next. Religions do not eliminate suffering, but they allow us to face it, to hold it, to respond to it, to offer it a shape, a season, and a language. All right, now we need to turn to this third part of Tweed's definition when he says that religions are able to intensify joy and confront suffering by drawing on human and superhuman forces. Oftentimes when we speak of religion, we focus on the superhuman or the divine. But the power of religions to intensify joy and confront suffering resides not just in superhuman sources, but in very human communities. Joys are witnessed and multiplied in community to celebrate with one another. People dance together, we pray together, we rejoice together. And similarly, the confrontation of suffering is not born alone. It is the sitting of Shiva in Judaism after the death of a loved one. It is a meal brought to your table in the time of need. These are not simply kindnesses or hospitality. They are the threads in the fabric of the holy and the sacred. Religions are both otherworldly and thisworldly, oriented toward the divine and toward the human. All right, this then brings us to what I think is really at the heart of Tweed's definition when he says that religions make homes and cross boundaries. Religions locate us. They provide cosmologies and cosmographies for orienting us and for understanding our world. They give us explanations oftentimes of how we are here, why we are here, and where we are going. Religions make us feel at home by providing structure to space and to time. They mark seasons and stages of life and even the rhythms of a single day. I think, for example, about Hinduism, which structures life by providing 4 aims of life: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. I think about Judaism, where the home itself becomes sacred on the Sabbath, inviting practitioners to pause, to light candles, to bless bread and wine, to dwell in sacred time, to be at home in sacred time. And in Christianity, the liturgical calendar unfolds like a walk through a home with many beautiful rooms, each having its own colors, its own scripture, its own way of preparing the heart for that season. And it's the rhythms of these calendars that help us feel at home to find our way and our place. But there's a paradox, as there often is. Religions, though, also, as much as they provide a sense of home, also call us away from home. They force us from places of comfort. Religions cross boundaries, as Tweed's definition says. So the Hajj, for example, summons Muslims to journey across many miles and many boundaries, joining millions of strangers in a shared devotional act on the Hajj. The Camino de Santiago draws pilgrims across mountains and plains, mile after mile, much like a seeker who may follow the path of our own Appalachian Trail through these very mountains. The legendary Desert Fathers, who I also love so much, they left behind family and possessions to seek and encounter God in the wilderness. They left. So in other words, religions teach us not only how to dwell, but how to depart, how to cross thresholds, how to become disoriented and then reorient ourselves, how to stand at the edge of what we know and take one more step into the unknown. And perhaps that's because that is at the heart of the nature of life. While we crave familiarity of home, of being in a place of welcome, we also know that the human experience forces us to constantly cross thresholds and boundaries, the boundary between today and tomorrow, between happiness and sadness, between youth and adulthood, and eventually the ultimate threshold between life and between death. So this is Tweed's definition that I think provides for me a sort of way to understand what is ultimately this incredibly varied category of religion, holding these pieces together, some of which we sort of recognize as being clearly religious, but others where maybe it's a little more nebulous. It's not a perfect definition, but I hope that at least maybe a piece of it has resonated with you and provides an understanding to think more deeply about what it is that we're doing right here, right now, in this space, and why we continue to come back to it as well. I want to add a caution, though. Tweed's definition, in my view, might be overly optimistic. It's a good thing that religions intensify joy and confront suffering. It is good that they bind us one to another and perhaps to a higher being. It is good that religions help us make homes and cross boundaries. But as many of us know, religions can also do the opposite. Religions intensify joy, and they can destroy it. They confront suffering, and they can cause it. They can make us feel at home, and they can alienate us. They can strengthen us, and they can break us. In my course on religion in Appalachia, I start by asking students, before we ever talk about anything, to share images that come to mind when they hear the phrase, religion in Appalachia. And actually, if you stay for the workshop today, you'll get to see the images that they've submitted over time that depict their view of what this thing looks like. And the responses are revealing. Some students share photographs that convey lightness and happiness and joy and color. Others submit images that are much darker in tone, that speak of trauma and exclusion and control. The word religion, for many, perhaps even for you, can carry the light and the dark. So it's, I think, attempting to understand this, what I find mystifying, double-edged nature of religion, the light and the dark, the positive and the negative, that has continuously drawn me to it as a category of study, and which I would suggest requires our unflinching engagement. To study religion, we can't sanitize it. We have to look it squarely in the face. We have to hold its paradoxes. We have to ask, what does it mean that something can be both beautiful and dangerous, liberating and limiting, a refuge and a weapon? And how do we ensure, if that is the case, that it is beautiful and liberating and a refuge, and not dangerous, limiting, and a weapon? And all I can say is that requires our careful attention and intention to our own practice of religion and spirituality. It requires an ethical mindset, a willingness to self-reflection, and a commitment to justice and to love. Now, I'm preaching to the choir here because I believe that Unitarian Universalism is deeply aware of the importance of careful, deep, self-reflective attention and intention. It is captured again in the word of come, come whoever you are. Come even if you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come, yet again come. Our attention and intention may falter and may be imperfect, but we are called yet again to make this a place of welcome for ourselves and for others. So I'm profoundly grateful for my journey into world religions with my students over these last 10 years, and I am optimistic about the things I will continue to learn, hopefully on many more journeys ahead. I hope also for you, though, that wherever you may be and wherever you may be going, you too have a space and time to be enchanted by the remarkable world and remarkable variety of religious and spiritual experiences, and that you find meaning for yourself, whatever that meaning may be. And so I leave you today with these closing words inspired by Tweed's definition of religion. May we make homes of kindness and courage. May we cross boundaries with reverence and grace. May we remember that joy is sacred and suffering, when shared, is transformed. Go now in peace and in curiosity to listen, to learn, and to love. Amen.
Makes you glad you're a UU, doesn't it? Nice to have affirmations from our speaker, so thank you, Dr. Axsom. We appreciate that. And a reminder is that she does get in depth with her workshop this afternoon, so please make sure that you come and grab a piece of pizza and enjoy food and good knowledge. So thank you. We extinguish our chalice with this reading. I selected from the Bible, James 7th chapter. What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can faith save them? Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes or daily food. You say to them, go in peace, keep warm, well fed, but does nothing for their physical needs. What good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by action, is dead. Blessed be. I have some announcements. We thank you for being here, and thank you for the students and teachers that brought their backpacks, but don't forget to pick them up. You'll need them tomorrow for sure. We do have a fundraiser from the group, pizza, $5. If you make your way down the kitchen, that'd be a delicious lunch for you to have. When you get finished eating, or bring it in here to eat, and you'll hear Dr. Adler's workshop, Holy Ground, Reimagining Religion. And if you have not had an opportunity to hear an in-depth presentation, please make sure you do. The music team, well, they're looking for a volunteer leader for the choir. That doesn't mean you have to do it every Sunday. They'll take whatever Sunday that you're willing to give to them. So email or talk to Alicia, whether back here, or James, and they'll be able to give you more details about how that works. The Social Justice Committee has some brochure, a handout for you. On the back table there, it is the color red, Know Your Rights, printed in both English and Spanish for you to pick up. If you need one for yourself or someone else, feel free to pick that up. For the fifth Sunday offering, we are collecting hygiene products for women. There will be a collection bin provided here throughout August. So all through the month of August, we're making that collection for State Line Abortion Access Partners. And I think they'll be doing a brief presentation on the 31st to enlighten us better on that. If you want to dance, you can do that. September the 6th, Saturday night dancing in the streets, although I think it's actually going to be on the deck. Is that right? Dancing on the deck. So there'll be food and beverages for you to have, so come and enjoy that. And if you're interested, you can send an email to mary@hvууc.org. There's other detailed announcements and information on our website. We don't want to go into all that today, as I know you're getting hungry and tired of being here, but please avail yourself of looking at that and enjoy all those announcements there. So, our closing hymn is number 128, For All That There Is, Our Life. This is when we collect our offering. So you'll be able to put your pledge in there, but mark it as a pledge. Our treasurer will greatly appreciate that acknowledgement, so they can keep up with our pledge dollars. So. with these words. May all our hours together be blessed as this one has been, by open-hearted sharing, learning from one another, and making beautiful harmonies together. And may we greet everyone we encounter with the same acceptance and grateful kinship until we meet again. Blessed be.